So the Times, Nick.
Yeah, so the Times has, give us more NHS patient data, pleads drug company boss. Pleads drug company boss. No,
yeah.
Get your tenses right, Nick. But and this is to do with they're just asking Rishi if they can have more NHS data so they can develop more new medicines, basically, and make it more transparent. To use the word cleverly, was asking for from China. And Sunak also praised the transformative power of AI, but although who isn't doing that now?
I think we do. I did read something, I can't remember if it's in this story because it's only just come in, but the NHS do have an extraordinary amount of patient data, more than most other countries, because it's what do they call it, single provider kind of system. Yeah. That is one of the advantages of it. Now, of course, there is also lots of questions about privacy and intrusive, and also medical insurance and all these kind of issues. But the capacity potentially for medicine to be tailor-made to suit the population also, as it is.
Perhaps we could sell that information to them, or at least do deals where we get the cheaper drugs. That's what they were doing in Israel. Yeah. They have a similar system, and then they were doing exactly that through COVID and using themselves as sort of guinea pigs.
I mean, I know, because I'm just various complex and unnecessary reasons have a little bit of an inside track on this, but I know that Kate Bingham, the vaccine task force, elevated one of the heroes of the whole operation. Yeah, she is very keen that Britain really kind of anchor itself as a biotech development centre. It could be a huge hotspot, the whole Silicon Valley area and so on. It's something that Britain has demonstrated it's very good at. You know, it should really be maximising that a great deal more. Is it not Magic Roundabout? That's in...
something like the Silicon Roundabout, isn't it? Old Street or something like that. Something like that.
Silicon Fen is in Cambridgeshire. It's sort of roughly emerging out of the Life Sciences Centre in Cambridge.
You'll probably find I'm right after the show. You're right, Kate Bingham, one of history's great villains. No, I'm kidding. It was an impressive rollout of an unnecessary product. But and the other thing I was going to add something to all that, but I've forgotten it now. Oh well, no. Oh yeah. You know when you see do you ever see like a list of like data they've got on you, or like a list of conditions you forgot you told them about, and your hospital printed out. So I had stuff like a serious lung disease that I don't know how it even got on there. It was like on there by mistake, but they've got like your whole history forever, haven't they?
Oh, it goes back to when I had my ankles fixed when I was 3 months old. Absolutely, it's all on the index cards. Boys will learn respect for women.
That's the other thing. Yeah, boys will learn respect for women under Labour, and this is reality star Georgia Harrison. She's going to crack her misogyny. Sir Keir Starmer, if you've heard of him, Emily Attack and Yvette Cooper, they've all got together in an unlikely kind of like Simon Cowell putting together one of those unlikely bands during X Factor. Yeah. And they're all saying that, you know, we need to solve misogyny, you need to call out friends who are being misogynistic, catcalling is terrible, and all this kind of vague. I'm sure it's all very...
No, it's not vague at all. They're saying they want it taught in schools. That's not vague. They want to make that part of the educational...
I mean, I say vague, I mean ineffective.
I have a view about this, because I have a 15-year-old son who's experienced a certain amount of these kind of lessons at school, and just observationally and anecdotally, what it seems to me is that the overwhelming majority of boys at school now are well aware that misogyny is wrong, well aware that women deserve a certain amount of respect. There's a tiny minority who are not aware of it. Yeah, there are a tiny minority who are the same ones who have always been oblivious to this, and are exactly the ones who will not be affected by these interventions. So you just get a bigger and bigger gulf between the vast majority of men who just feel ever more shame and paralysis when confronted with women, and not sure if it's okay to talk to them or if it's okay to touch them without permission at every stage, and then like a tiny handful who will still just go ahead and behave like...
Well, I personally have I've got a son as well, 13-year-old, and daughters and whatever, and I've always... This is a policy I'm really happy to hear about, because I've been saying this on the show for the last year. Get to them early. Get to them before they're 15. Get to them when they're still 9, 10. Point out these things, and point out things like catcalling. They're talking about bringing in, making people aware of things like domestic abuse and whatnot, and I think it will make a difference. I do think that you're right. There is also this idea that boys might get scared or not know where the boundaries are, and that's fine, and perhaps that could be part of something they talk about later on at that age, 14, 15. But I do think this is a problem within our society, these various things, and I do think they need to be dealt with earlier the better, to at least show them that these are morally wrong.
But isn't it interesting that your kids really liked Andrew Tate when he came in the studio? He said, my kids are big fans. Isn't that because men have been so demonised that even your sons, you know, you've been brought up in a sort of feminist environment, are saying we love Andrew Tate?
No, it's because my son's an idiot.
I mean, it's not always easy to, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that it's hardwired in, but which ones are idiots and which ones are not. But I do think traditionally the structures that have protected women from the worst elements of toxic masculinity have been other men who have come together and gone, oi, mate, stop that, cut that out. You're being and using a strong language. And I'm just a little bit concerned that we are kind of weakening men in those situations so that the toxic ones remain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Of course, you're putting it far too
I'm
harshly,
sure it's
Simon.
far too...
Men and boys are hated in Western culture. Everyone knows this is an open secret.
Speaking of which, The Guardian